So over a week, I've talked about something with a number of people, and that something is, the other day I talked about being street smart with practice, kind of not doing the practice in a mechanical, formalized way, and not getting, how to say, stuck in the rut. Is that the phrase? But keeping it fresh, keeping things fresh, paying attention on the way. And when you pay attention, you notice things and you react to those things and factors. And here I'm talking about listening our bodies and our minds, feeling our energies, tuning in with our bodies and listening to it. And one thing that might have been useful for you on this retreat. Now the retreat is gone, so you can test it. But something I meant to say that something that I've discussed over the past week or so with a number of people is the thing that Western students don't learn much unless they're told, unless they're said, given instructions. And that's kind of like not being street smart. And when it comes to tiredness, the thing, your body, it's true that we do on these retreats, there are high charges and it's demanding, but you also have, because of that precise reason, you have plenty of opportunity to rest. Breaks with your own beds and everything. So have you also rested well? Because one thing that contributes to tiredness is that if you talk too much, you might have had wonderful making new friends in the Sangha and all that. That's awesome. But if you talk too much, it will then, you generate energy. But if you keep blabbering and talking all the time, it spills. And you are left in a kind of bright state of mind, but also tired. And I think that, I have considered at points if we should have silent retreats again, so that you would get it. Maybe my point is that I should be more outspoken and somehow better as a teacher. But I do also, I am pretty traditional in many ways as a teacher. Although my style of teaching the Dharma is innovative and very non-traditional in many ways, pragmatic, but I'm also very traditional. And when it comes to this, students not being told everything, that's how I was trained since I was a little kid and in many past lives. And that's also, even if most of my students are Westerners, that's what I kind of expect for you to develop, because when you're street smart, you pay attention. You listen to the empty space. not only what I say. And I think this is very important. And especially Tantra. So next time, maybe you can, on the next retreat, maybe this will fix the problem. But like I said, it is common, and I did like choose the practices for this retreat. Those of you who have done week-long retreats with me before, we have had much more variety in practices, in deities, in doing this and that, and third thing and fourth thing, just doing many things. But I wanted to have a simpler setup for this retreat. We did the Vajrasattva, I think, on 3 days, and after 3 days, the reason why we did Vajrasattva many times, three times, is because it is very important. It is very important Vajrayana practice. So this was also my way of trying to communicate to you to practice more Vajrasattva. And I think on one day I told you that do 300 sessions of Vajrasattva, and you will have spent your time well. So we did that, and then yesterday we did a bunch of other deities, the Mahasiddha Bhumi deities. Then you did plenty of chanting on all days, 45 minutes, an hour of Om Ah Hum Hu. How many of you felt bored already during chanting? Get out!
So, mostly very nice. Mostly I loved it. But I was hoping for another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like when maybe some of you didn't answer that question because my reply is kind of obvious. My reply would be for telling you that this was not enough, that you need to do double or triple or loads of chanting, and exactly those 4 syllables. Why? Yesterday or was it yesterday or the day before, when we were stomping, kind of studying the stomping and doing the body work, I was explaining the 2 modes in action, in movement. That's why. So if we are self-conscious in self-based mode, it gets boring and heavy fast. So doing the same thing over and over again forces you to relax, forces you to let go at some point. And that's a very important lesson. I love how you went like, bing, light bulb went up. This was also the first retreat where I have never taken as much time off from teaching than on this retreat. On the past retreats before COVID, I was leading almost all of the sessions. Like during a week-long retreat, I might take only 2 or 3 sessions off and have Carl or someone else lead it. But I felt differently on this one because I want the acharyas who are trained to step up, and I simply, having done this for so long and having reached the stage that I have, I feel like it's time for others to step up. Acharyas, teachers, and of course I've been talking about not very, perhaps probably not very skillful or pleasant manner, but I've been also talking and ranting about the Sangha stepping up, right? The Facebook Sangha is now on pause because I wanted people to think about this. So there will be a manual about this, because for years I've been frustrated that, for fuck's sake, don't these people, I've been asking nicely and requesting the Sangha and the teaching staff to do things, but they are just not doing anything. So it built a huge frustration. And my own background coming from a very traditional Asian training. So I just, I didn't understand at first why people weren't doing as I request as their teacher. Well, how should I say? Well, maybe a contributing factor is that Westerners kind of need a manual and need clear instructions and all that. But having said it, I've also felt a lot of frustration because, on the other hand, I have asked and requested, but yet nothing is happening. So that's why I know that I'm not always. I know that I'm a good engineer and mechanic when it comes to figuring out the tantric system and teaching it. I know it inside out, but I am not, being a Finn, having a traumatic past, Finns don't small talk, so I have deficiencies being in this position where I'm required. It would be better to have a better social skills and leading skills. Where was I getting to with this? But yeah, maybe I just wanted to say something that I've discussed with few people over the past week or so, that if you've been around in the Sangha, even in online Sangha, have never met me physically, look at the body of my work, the books, the 800 plus videos in YouTube, all the blogs and everything I've made available. And then, I've been told that often people get a very rude image and impression of me, like a total asshole image. But I'm doing this out of my bodhicitta and keep doing it from that. It's a different question if I'm able to communicate myself perfectly. But I have also limitations in that sense. I'm not the perfect people person, not even understanding small talk. But nevertheless, that's my motivation. That's where I'm coming from. And also being traditional, I think that I can say that I was always a very good student to my teachers. They didn't need to raise their voice. I didn't get scoldings like other students did, because I was always listening. And I started judo when I was 7, so I started learning that style of teaching since I was very small. So I guess I should say sorry of my behalf if I sometimes appear rude or impolite. There has been times when I've been extremely frustrated and angry about there has been so many obstacles in Pemaco work, and myself being the captain of the ship. It's me who gets all the shit from the outside world and also from my students, and then also having white skin color. My students who have a dark night or rough period, they forget. They kind of start seeing me only as a white man rather than remembering that I'm their Dharma teacher. So but yeah, I also know that I have things to learn, my ways to better, and like we just had a small conversation before the session started, that I know that there's plenty to improve in Pemaco. Yeah. So emptiness realization is not everything. But having said that, I think that also, like, it is outstanding what we also have in Pemaco. Absolutely outstanding. It's unique in the world. And it sounds like a completely cultish thing to say, but what was it that Tilopa said, Oscar?
He said, I'm the king of all Mahasiddhas.
So Tilopa was a Mahasiddha who lived a long time ago. And he said that, in case the microphone didn't pick up, that I am the king of all Mahasiddhas. It's a complete, like a cultish thing to say, isn't it? Just like we were talking about the things that Mahasiddhas of the past, including Shakyamuni, have said. He said that I alone am the world honored one. I alone am the world honored one, right? Sounds completely egotistical thing to say. But we have pragmatical technology to understand universally what emptiness realization, non-dual realization, what removing of ignorance and replacing it with existential wisdom actually means. We have the technology for that in the 13 Bhumi model. Right? We have a technology that can teach us to read the attainments and insights we've had, but that can also be applied to others. And I've done Bhumi analysis on thousands and thousands of people. I don't know how many, 5, 6, 7,000, including our present Sangha members and past Sangha members and their many openings, my own openings, openings of, I Hamash ashram in southern India in December 2015, and the ashram was packed with visitors. Like there must have been at least 5,000 people there. It's a big ashram. And I did Bhumi analysis on everybody who walked past me, simply to check if they had their first Bhumi open or not. So when you have the skill, when you know how to do the reading, it's kind of like those Western cowboys shooting pistol. It's almost that fast. So you only need like a second to see if the first Bhumi is open or not. So, during that 2 or 3 weeks when I was there in 2015, I did, must have been thousands. And then I've done maybe a couple of hundred of mappings for practitioners and teachers of different traditions. Of course, to make myself feel better. That's the reaction. When I spoke about the Bhumi model and Bhumi reading, always when I did it back in the past on public discussion forums, that was always people's first reaction. So you're just putting yourself above others because according to your reading system, you're higher than everybody else. I walked into that mind. I was so naive to talk about things so openly years ago. But anyway, my point is that in Pemako, we have 13 Bhumis, and Bhumi reading is an art form, yogic art form that is part of our teaching. And that the 13 Bhumi model is actually a path map for us. In some other lineage, they might be reading, well, I hope there were more lineages reading Gampova's books, but in some other lineage, they are reading a book, a written commentary. And yes, we also have a book. I've written a book about the 13 Bhumi model, but you can't understand the 13 Bhumi model and certainly won't require the reading skill just from the book. It's yogic art form. It's tantric art form. And I think that's the beauty of it. You can't cheat that way. You can cheat through written letters and words. You can write anything. You can say, I alone am the world honored one, or I am the king of Mahasiddhas. But you can't cheat somebody who knows a thing or two, or knows very specific way of reading the energy. That's where the genius of 13 Bhumi model lies. And like I've said before, I think that this art form of reading energy, that or what we call reading Bhumis, it was at one point in maybe during Mahasiddha era that I mentioned earlier, that it was taught in lineages. There are traditional Mahayana and Vajrayana scriptures talking about the 10 bodhisattva Bhumis, and then there are like different Bhumi models. So in some model, they might talk about just 10 Bhumis, the karmic Bhumis. In other model, there's 13 in number, in other 16 or 21 in number. But these different numbers, the system is the same, but the way how they count the centers, that's where the difference comes. So I'm pretty sure that it was a practiced skill and taught skill in ancient times, but it is so easy to lose that know-how, that knowledge. if it isn't transmitted from this generation to the next, it can disappear there in one generation, in two generations. And just like with all old scriptures, also the most well-known scriptures about Bhumis, like Avatamsaka Sutra chapter, is it 24 or 26? I think 26. All old scriptures, they are altered over time. Altered, changed, edited, and edited again after 100 years, again after 100 years, edited. But think if 10 generations ago, they forgot the Bhumi reading skill was no longer transmitted properly. And yet you are editing the Bhumi scriptures, right? So what it says in Avatamsaka Sutra, for example, it's kind of lovely, like this big manner of talking about so many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and body manifestations and so on. In a sense, it's can be inspiring and uplifting, but it's certainly also very vague. It's not a manual that you can instantly understand and apply. So, and of course, if it's not something you can understand and apply, it's just another kind of fantasy book. Another scripture that is supposed to be practice-related, pragmatic, and yet fails to fulfill that position. So, you know, I was talking about how unique that there are so much room for improvement in our method, but there are also there is very strong foundation of realization in our system. We have pockets full of diamonds. I wish I had my actual pockets full of diamonds. But this is something very unique, and somebody, you know, listening this from YouTube might again think that, oh, there he goes again, this fucking fake Rinpoche talking about Mahasiddha attainments and Bhumi attainments. Never needed to believe. That's what I've said all the time. We are talking about practical skills here. Never believes. How many can say practitioners and lineages out there who don't have uninvestigated, unstudied beliefs? How many can say that all their knowledge is based on first-hand experience? So even with all the flack that myself and Pemako has gotten, in a sense, I would say that some things I wouldn't do differently. Some things I would, but other things I wouldn't, because the results are there. I guess we could sit now. I've been talking about serious matters enough, so let's sit. Always connected with all life. Always practicing, acting for the liberation, for the ultimate liberation of all sentient beings. What is the genuine recognition, genuine realization? What kind of energy does genuine recognition have? Definitely soft, definitely loving and caring, and definitely kind, but not only limited to those peaceful energies. Also wrathful, dynamic when needed. Not always peaceful, not always wrathful. If it's either or, always, either one, always, then something missing, something wrong. Sometimes rainbow shining in the sunny sky, bright sky. Sometimes rainbow radiating in pitch black darkness. And always, whether in peaceful mood or in wrathful mood, always bodhicitta. Always for the sake of all beings. I've told this story a couple of times this week. I think I told it a couple of weeks ago in Facebook discussion. And I love to tell the story again because it's such a lovely story and lovely memory for me. So I will tell it again. It's about my phone call with a now already long deceased Japanese Zen master called Kyudo Nakagawa Roshi. Roshi is the title of an elder Zen master. So his name was Kyudo Nakagawa. And this happened in 2005. I was living in Tokyo at the time, and I was looking for a Zen temple monastery where I could go for a retreat, for a sesshin. Sesshin, the Japanese name for retreat, means to touch the mind, to touch the heart, to touch the heart mind. And I called the temple, and to my surprise, the Roshi himself answered the phone. And how should I best describe this? from the first words that he uttered, there was this transmission happening. Like his voice when he said hello to me in Japanese, konnichiwa or something, there was transmission, like pointing out happening effortlessly. And I introduced myself and he listened for a moment. And then I told him that, could I explained a little bit of my training history and asked if I could go to his temple and do a session, a retreat with him. And there was so much wrath in his voice. Like even when he said konnichiwa, hello or good day in Japanese, there was so much wrath, so much dynamic energy and power in his words that I have never spoken with anybody who had that kind of power of voice. And he said something like, I asked that, Roshi-sama, could I come for a retreat? And he replied something like, yeah, you can come. Yeah, you can come. Like this. And then I think I crossed the line from his perspective a little bit. And I asked that, can I have one-on-one instruction from you? Can I have sanzen with you? And I could feel the like in sci-fi movies when there's a huge meteorite hitting the earth, there is this wave of the world freezing, like brrr, and this room is frozen like that in a wave. And I could feel that wave of icy energy. So I asked, Roshi, can I do sanzen with you, receive instruction from you? My decision. But he wasn't angry at all. He wasn't angry. That was expression of his wrath. I had to pull the phone from my ear. So that was the story. And it's been 17 years since that phone call, but I remember it. I'll never forget it. You never forget those, first times when you really recognize Buddha nature. You just never forget those events. In Vajrayana, they have a special name for a lama, for a teacher who introduces yourself the first time to your Buddha nature. And that term is, what is it in Tibetan? Save Lama, root guru. A root guru. I've been talking about Japan a lot recently, and I remember all these memories and all the meetings and experiences with all these teachers. Also, I started remembering all these meetings with Indian sadhus and all kinds of swamis and yogis and so on. Anyway, I was talking about peaceful and wrathful. I was talking about our basic nature. And not only peaceful, not only wrathful, but both. I was explaining earlier the meanings of Om, Hum, Hu syllables. Om being bright white in color, A being transparent like a diamond, Hung black, and Hu rainbow. So you don't only have white and rainbow colors. You also have diamond and black. Peaceful and wrathful. Recognize with your body, not just mind.
I vow to liberate all sentient beings. I vow to end all self-based confusion. I vow to exercise the Dharma that frees. I vow to attain the great perfection. I vow to liberate all sentient beings. I vow to end all self-based confusion. I vow to exercise the Dharma that frees. I vow to attain the great perfection. I vow to liberate all sentient beings. I vow to end all self-based confusion. I vow to exercise the Dharma that frees. I vow to attain the great perfection. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. All beings are free. All beings are free. All beings are free. May all beings receive my accumulated merit. I dedicate the merit to the refuge attention to all sentient beings. Palms together. I think that's enough practice. It's just 7:05. And a couple of things. As you know, we had ordination. The first one, very first ordination ceremony, that wasn't very ceremonially, very informal. I guess you could say casual ordination sessions with Gwen, with Carl, who is now taking care of Ailu, and then Monica and Kaisa. And I gave them Amrita Shakti empowerment, which is can be used for effectively for healing different types of ailments, but also most importantly, after emptiness realization, is meant for that refining the attainment from the first stage of Buddhahood to the last stage. And there are, well, the way how I count it is that there are 3 stages to Buddhahood, which means that the first one is emptiness, 10 bhumis, and the second one is small rainbow body, which means that the body is not completely connected with the enlightened mind, but partially. So it's partially a continuum. The physical body and its cells is partially a continuum of the enlightened mind. And this, when the person leaves the body, makes the body shrink, makes the corpse shrink. And there are photographs and accounts from people who have reached small rainbow body. I think the last one was in 2020 in Tibet. There was some lama, some yogi who attained it last. And then there's the full rainbow body, the third one, the real full enlightenment, which means that the physical body and its cells are entirely connected with the enlightened mind. Means that the continuum of the mind, which is the system of the subtle body, connects seamlessly with the physical body and its cells. And when it's seamless, when such a person leaves the body, there are no remains. And there are accounts of this as well, historical accounts, but I think the best of those accounts is about Taoist sage Du Xinlin, who attained, did I talk about this on this retreat? Okay, only in the room. So Du Xinlin, in the presence of about 100 students, as well as communist officials of the Communist Party, as well as a band playing in the temple in I forgot if it's in Beijing, China, or Guangzhou, but in one of the big cities, attained full rainbow body in 1989. 30 years ago about. So there might have been others, but there's a pretty solid account. Like there were officials present, and I forgot what Baolin Wu wrote in his report, but over 100 people actually saw that happen in front of their eyes, that the master just disappeared in red light. So my understanding of this is that, there is a lot of, like I was referring to the old scriptures that collect dust and are changed and edited again and again. Similarly, like there's all kinds of things associated with the rainbow body, light body phenomena, right? All kinds of things if you have read. But it seems to be like a universal phenomena among really devoted spiritual practitioners. There is the account of Jesus. There are, I tried to, Maxim, do you remember I asked you to find some writings or some documents from the hesychastic tradition, which is Russian Orthodox or Orthodox tradition, but they are secretive. They don't talk about the stuff, but there are like trickles of bits and pieces of information saying that in hesychastic tradition, which is the contemplative tradition of Eastern Orthodox and Russian Orthodox Church, there has been literally hundreds who either bodies rank or they left no body at all. Their main practice is Jesus's Guru Yoga. And these guys, desert fathers, they spent years and decades in their small retreat huts, just like many Tibetan yogis do. But the universality of it, so there has been Taoists, Christians, Tantric Buddhists, and Hindus. I think the last record of a Hindu attaining full rainbow body is Swami Ramalinga from 1874 in southern India, in Tamil Nadu, which is the state where he lived. And this was also recorded by officials. Back then, there are records of the occasion. They just couldn't find the guy anymore. And there was, well, you can find, just Google Swami Ramalinga and you can find the story. But there are also all kinds of wild stories connected with emptiness realization, isn't it? That when somebody claims or says that they have this degree or complete emptiness realization, they are expected like, well, do a siddhi then. Do some miracle then. But this is, there are also, I remember, I think it was Uge who said it to me, this Tibetan master called Nachok Rangdrol, Tsele Nachok Rangdrol, who has been one who has said that siddhis or powers, miracle-making powers, don't necessarily come with realization. And personally, I have never witnessed like a major siddhi. My mind has been read. I have read people's minds. I have seen through physical objects because of doing lots of breathing practices. I have had all kinds of those kind of experiences. I have also been involved in like minor miraculous healings, but there is nothing miraculous. It's just mantric power, pure energy healing, something that was karmically ripe to be healed. So this is my view about miracles. I have never seen any of the big cities, and I kind of doubt if they are even true or not. But maybe one day I will see somebody walk through a wall, or maybe Ugi, when he attains rainbow body, he will easily put his hand through the floor. But show me then. But anyway, so Amrita Shakti is the main tool in our method that is meant to not generate, but to do that refinement. And that refinement is because of the following reason. We have the subtle body, the 10 bhumis, and there is the sense of self stored in all those countless channels. There are these like stamps on the channels. There is a stamp of this kind of irritation. There is another stamp, just these tiny stamps, tiny imprints on the surfaces of the channels. Loads of them, many, many, many. And this is what we purify with emptiness practice, with tantric practice. And then there's also, if we have strong stress or traumatic experiences that last for years or even decades, we have all of them stored in our recording system, filing system in the subtle body. And that storage of different memories and impressions and self-based mind functioning is therefore until you reach emptiness, until you perfect the 10th bhumi. In my case, 42 years. 42. In Sylvia's case? Huh? No, your age. 46. So, decades. And what happens is that I've used this analogy when speaking about this. You might have seen photographs that have been taken on the sites where there has been atomic bomb explosions in Japan. There are these photographs where there is a wall, and then there has been people right next to the wall standing when the bomb went off. And only thing that remained of those people are shadows on the walls. Have you seen these photos? But anyway, even if you haven't seen it, you understand. It's exactly the same thing. The samsaric mind of 46 years or 42 years old, or however long you have, leaves kind of a shadow on the physical sense, or atoms, or I don't know what, but they can be felt in the body. So that's the stuff that separates emptiness realization and rainbow body realization. That's the stuff that prevents the mind, with emptiness already enlightened, from being a seamless continuum with the body. This is my experience. I've been focusing on this topic alone. Of course, I've studied it for years, but have been focusing since my 10th bhumi in March 21. For so over a year, it has been my daily practice. And I've been really fortunate, extremely fortunate, not only to have Guru Rinpoches and Yeshe Chogyals all the tools and techniques that you all practice, we all practice, but also Babaji's friendship and Amrita Shakti that he gave me for this purpose. So that the cellular karma or the shadows from the physical cells can be rubbed off. And it seems to work very well. So this is the empowerment I gave for these 4 students. I also gave Dharma names for them. Sometimes people ask me for Dharma names, and I haven't given them. I used to give them like in over 10 years ago, but then I noticed that people kind of just want to kind of a form of spiritual tourism, so I stopped doing that. But then as this ordination was coming closer, I started seeing Dharma names descending on Monica's form and Kaisa's form. And so I passed them Dharma names also. There's also someone, one of my heart disciple students, Irene, who she didn't receive a formal ordination from me, but I did give her a robe already 1 or 2 years ago, and she wore it on retreats and was always on retreat when she could from her illnesses. But she already left to Zangdok Palri to Guru Rinpoche's Pure Land about a week ago. So her body couldn't have handled Amrita Shakti empowerment anyway. So, but she's there now. So she would have been the 5th, or is the 5th of my heart disciples so far at the moment. Thank you for everybody for making this retreat happen. Thank you for showing up. I hope this wasn't such an awful experience for you, so that you might think about coming again. So thank you for everybody for all the effort that you and care you did in your whatever work tasks you had. Thank you, James. Special thanks for the preparations. Thank you, Ugi, for taking care of Zoom and camera. Thank you, all the acharyas who led sessions. Also, thank you, Carl, up there in the heaven, in the 2nd floor. Give us a sign if you can hear us. And thank you, Zoomers. How has it been for you? Has it been tolerable? Maybe next time also, Patricia was supposed to come here, and also Shirin was supposed to come. Hopefully next time you can make it. Hope Shirin are you doing better? Good. Some of you might have noticed that Jarmo is there sitting in our living room because he's taking care of Minnie, our cat. Thanks for the photos. I've been missing Minnie a lot.
Someone else to thank. Yes. Chris.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you to everyone who helped me. teachings.
Ah,
Really much. Yes. That's, yeah.
hmm. Let's take a photo. Retreat photo.
Could I just say a couple of things?
Please.
So yes, just like I said, thank you very much for sharing the retreat. There's a donation box out on the bureau / writing desk on there. If you would like to show your appreciation, then please do that. For tomorrow, are we going to do the plan for tomorrow now, or should we do it?
Yes.
I mean, I was thinking wake up bell at 7:30, a bit later. Are we going to, do you want to sit tomorrow or not?
No practice tomorrow.
Okay.
So also letting people on Zoom know that we have to give the keys back to the owners tomorrow morning at 10 local time. So we simply don't have time for morning practice. We need to clean up and set up the place. So yeah, this was the last session. If you want, you can open the Zoom and just just kidding. James, go ahead.
So my thoughts were 7:30 bell for an 8 o'clock breakfast, 8 till 9 breakfast, then 9 till 10 we clear up. I'll contact Fleur tonight to see what she wants us to do, but it's basically probably just putting it back to how we found it. And if everyone could leave their keys in their door for their rooms, that's the most important thing. Don't take your keys with you. I'll say, I'll say at breakfast if there's anything else she wants us to do, but I think for now that's probably it.
So 7:30 breakfast.
7:30 wake up bell. 8 o'clock breakfast.
Okay.
When do you want to do the photo?
Would outside be better? Best for light? Ulkona vai?
We want the Zoomers in it.
I was thinking that should we try to include the Zoomers into the group photo? Because you've done the retreat as well.
But we all gather around the TV. Oh, why not?
Sure.
Well, we could do one there and then maybe one outside as well. So
I can also take a screen capture if everyone wants to get in front of the camera.
Photoshop them in outside.
I guess the screen capture will have to suffice. We'll take the photo outside.
yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody online. All the best and see you later.
Thank you very much. It was a great retreat. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice evening together. Bye.
Thanks for the retreat, guys. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.